let's move on to main topic number 3. And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Terrance G, who writes, "Hey, John. First, let me thank you for the daily dose of relaxation and fun you guys give us through these stupid times." Well, thanks a lot for being here with us, Terrance. Next, did you see that as of today, Quibi is officially dead and no longer operating? That's right. Today is December 1st. It is the day it officially shut down. I know you've talked about the service before, but now that it's officially done, what are your thoughts and ultimately what led to its demise? And if Rob is there, which he is, tell him I blame my hot toy addiction on him now. Well, there you go, Rob. You are responsible for other people's not being able to pay rent this month because they bought 5 hot toys. Yeah, so for those
I'm one of them. No.
Yeah, there's a lot of us out there. So for those of you who might have missed the news, now we talked a lot about Quibi, right? Quibi was this new thing that came out less than a year ago. And it was going to be a different kind of streaming service. It was going to be only available on mobile devices. You weren't going to have it on your Roku or Apple TV or Amazon Fire Stick like a lot of the other, or all the other services. It was going to be on mobile only. It was going to be high premium, short form content. I think it was 10 minutes max. I think that's what it was. Each episode or mini movie was going to be 10 minutes max. And is going to have big, big Hollywood stars. Kevin Hart, John Travolta, you name it. The bigs, they got all the big stars. From what I understand, they literally spent $6 million per hour of entertainment that they had up on Quibi. And they invested over $1 billion to get this thing up and going. And not surprisingly, it didn't work. It failed. And today is the day that it is officially now done. This comes to us from Variety, who writes, as previously announced, the Quibi app, as of Tuesday, today, December 1st, is no longer operable, marking the quick and quiet end of Jeffrey Katzenberg's ill-fated $1.75 billion quest to carve out a new corner of the subscription streaming video market. The Quibi app will remain on users' devices until they delete it. However, the app will no longer allow users to sign in, returning an error message if they try to, or access any Quibi content. And again, that comes to us from Variety. It comes to a close. Rob, it's the end of a very short-lived era. The Quibi era. Quibi is now officially dead. So here's my kind of closing thoughts, none of which I haven't shared before, but it feels appropriate to share them here now. On the one hand, I have to applaud Jeffrey Katzenberg and his partner. I'm forgetting her name. Meg Whitman. Was that it? Was it Meg Whitman?
Meg Whitman. Yep.
I have to applaud the idea of they wanted to try something different. In the midst of all these streaming services coming out, whether it's streaming services like, Disney Plus, Netflix, Hulu, Peacock, essentially they're the same kind of service, just with different content. Quibi came out and they said, we want to step outside of that mold. We want to try something different. What if we did something that was just quick, easy to consume content, 10-minute episodes, blah, blah, blah. But instead of like YouTube standard stuff, we put in all the biggest stars and all that kind of stuff. And it was an idea that, no guts, no glory. Rob, we always tell people, and we as fans are always yelling at Hollywood, try something different, try something original, try something new. And you know what? Full marks to Jeffrey Katzenberg and Whitman. They tried something different and they tried something new. The reason not a lot of people will ever try a lot of things extremely different or won't try a lot of things that are extremely new is because most of the time they don't work. So I'm not going to be a person who sits here and gang piles on them and say, ha, 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 your Quibi failed, ha, ha. No, listen, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to applaud. And I'm going to say, hey, you tried. You tried to do something different, and that deserves some respect. That respect, though, Rob, doesn't take away from the fact that they made some not great decisions in the process of doing that. The decision to, for instance, number one, specifically not be on any of the streaming platforms so people could watch the content on their television. Like, I get it. You marketed your stuff towards entertainment on the go, stuff you'll watch on your mobile phone while you're on the bus commuting or whatever. I get it, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't give people the option of watching content somewhere else if they chose. Right now, people more and more are cutting the cord, and they are turning to their Rokus. They're turning to their Google TVs. They're turning to their Apple TVs. They're turning to their Amazon Fire Sticks more and more and more and more to specifically exclude your platform from that. You didn't have to emphasize it. You didn't have to make it your priority, but to specifically exclude it from that, I think that was the death rung right there the moment they made that decision. And again, while I applaud them doing it, the reality is I think right now people are moving away from the shorter and shorter content. Yes, TikTok is huge, but TikTok is not narrative storytelling. It's supposed to be fleshed out narrative storytelling. The third big problem I see, Rob, and I don't think we've talked about this one ourselves between you and I, but the third big problem was you still have to market it. And while I did see the odd commercial here and there for like the new Kevin Smith or Kevin Hart thing that they did on Quibi, Kevin Hart had his own show on Quibi, stuff like that. While I saw the odd thing like that, if you're going to try to break in while Disney Plus is coming to power and HBO Max is coming to power and Peacock is launching, if you want to launch while all that is going on, you better do some stuff to make sure you stand above the noise and get recognized. And I just never felt they did much of a job in marketing. Now, granted, marketing is super expensive. I get it, but you're going to have to market the hell out of it. And I feel like they just weren't able to market it to the point that it was able to rise above the noise. So those are things I saw. And what I hope doesn't happen, Rob, is I hope there aren't other, investors, entrepreneurs out there who become afraid of trying something different from the norm because of the failure of Quibi, although that will probably happen. But I still hope there are others, forerunners who will come along and say, you know what? It's hard to launch something new and different, but we're going to try again anyway, even though Quibi failed. And we're going to try something else different. And who knows? We'll see where it goes. Rob, today's the day. It finally shut its doors. It went under. What are your reflection on Quibi? Why could it have worked? Why didn't it work? And what's the overall lesson we take from it shutting down now?
Well, on my own show, John, I've made fun of Quibi from the get-go. And this has been, and some people even said to the point where I was being mean. And I think this is the case of, I've been fascinated by this because Jeffrey Katzenberg and Meg Whitman should know better. They based this entire enterprise on a false assumption. Remember when I first started on YouTube 5 years ago? I was working with you and John Schnepp on Collider Heroes, and I often heard people tell me that, all anybody wants is YouTube programming that's in quick bites. And our shows that we were on, that you brought me on, that I was on with you for a while, were long-form shows. And we were building an audience, and people liked that. They liked that YouTube was turning into long-form programming. The idea that people wanted to consume entertainment in quick bites was something that was maybe true in the aughts when YouTube first started. But it completely negated all of the work and all of the evolution that was happening in the YouTube space. And so they came out with this. Nobody wants to watch great A-list, beautifully produced programming in quick bites as they're commuting in New York City on the subways and walking down the streets. People want to, if you have great programming that's really well made, which is what Quibi had, a lot of really A-list shows, the last thing you want to do is watch them on your phone as you're running into Starbucks, grabbing your morning coffee and starting your morning commute. It was the premise itself was deeply, deeply flawed. And they just went all in. And it's unbelievable to me that they went and got all of this A-list talent. They didn't even build their platform. They just went for all the A-list talent. Who's not going to take their money? And then they spent all this cash. It didn't work because they went all in, and they didn't build slow. They just thought they had something. From the beginning, they were doomed, and it failed. And to me, it was hubris, and these people should have known better, and they should have been better custodians of their investors' money.
And but you know what? Even in the grandest of failures, you usually see things be able to hang on for longer than less than a year. But I guess they decided, listen, this is clearly not going to work. We need to pull the plug. Now, by the way, it should be mentioned that there are other bigger studios that also invested. I believe Warner Brothers invested in it. Disney invested in it. And they said they are going to be able to return about $350 million to their investors out of the $1.7 billion that got invested. So whatever, at least there's that. Rob, let me ask you this, though. Let me ask you this, because you raised some really good points. But do you think the really high profile failure of Quibi, do you think this is going to discourage other potential startups and things like that from trying to do something like really fundamentally radically different from what's being done by HBO Max and Disney right now? Or do you think we might see other services that are like really quite unique pop up? What do you think is going to be the ultimate repercussions of this?
I think it's a really good question to ask, but I also think that we have 100 years of people consuming media to examine. Motion pictures, television, even now in the social media space. I mean, your documentary that you have out now, which is called Movie Trailers, A Love Story, available on Amazon and on Vimeo On Demand.
Good plug.
That shows how people consume movie trailers as media. And I just think that there's a way that we like to do things. And when we have great entertainment, you want to settle in and really pay attention. And I think that what it proves to me is, while I love maverick new ways of doing things, Facebook, YouTube itself, those are all brand new radical ideas. Even Netflix started out as a video rental platform that morphed into creating original entertainment and became a worldwide entertainment force. So I don't ever want innovation to stop. However, there is certain paradigms that have existed in the way we say watch something that are always true. And if you really love great programming, you want to sit down and watch it.
Yeah.
You don't want to run around and carrying it on your phone. And the idea that you're going to watch, I mean, the whole idea, the reason TikTok works is they're literally short bursts. Great TikToks are like hearing a great joke or a great limerick.
Yeah,
or
it's
something.
true.
And they deliver a certain entertainment jolt in a certain small period of time. And it works because that's the whole premise of that format. But Quibi was trying to give you, like, you're going to watch a movie in 10 parts. Well, when you get home and you're interested in something, you want to watch it all. You know,
on your TV. On your TV, by the way. On
your big TV. And they never even made it available on any other platform. So you couldn't even go home.
Well, they did. They did 2 days
later,
before they announced that they were shutting down.
Yeah.
A little too late.
And that was, I mean, what you need is you want entrepreneurs who understand what they're doing. To me, it seemed like, I mean, now I could be a grandfather, but I looked at them and I'm like, that would be if my grandmother and grandfather, well, we're going to get into that streaming space where the kids are really having fun. And we're going to give them something on the go. I'm like, Grandma, Grandpa, have you actually examined the space you're going to jump into? Because it's always changing, and I don't think you've got a real handle on what kids want today.
Well, guys, the question is, what do you think about it? Today's the day. It's now done. Quibi is no more. It has ceased to be. It is an ex-parrot. What do you guys think about that? Did you try it out yourself? What do you think led to its demise? How do you think it could have worked? Jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys.